So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can use relationships and the necessity of relationships in healing. So we live in a very individualistic society that often wants us to believe that we should be able to do it all on our own. We feel like we should be able to just regulate our emotions. If we have emotions, there's a problem. And if we have emotions, we definitely should be able to deal with them on our own. And the reality is that we are social creatures. We adaptively grow up, we develop in relationship to people, and that never stops. So from the time we are in our mother's womb, we are in relationship. And even as we're growing up and evolving and become more of an individual, everything we do has some connection to other people. Even if we like to believe that we can do it on our own, the reality is we can't. Even the food we eat requires multiple other people to farm the food, to package it, to sell it to you, the people you work with, to get them. Like, there's so many things that go into such a simple thing. And I think when we go about healing or doing work on ourselves, it can also feel like this personal endeavor. Like, I just have to do all of this work. It's all on me. It's about introspection, which is an important part of it. Reflection is an important part of personal work, healing work. But often we need to do it in relationship. That's why we go to therapy. That's why we have support groups. That's why we have all of these systems of people coming together to heal. In more indigenous cultures, healing is done in groups, in ceremonies. So it's just natural that as humans, we do healing work together. And there could be a scientific basis for that, meaning our nervous systems and how we operate. We have more capacity when we're in relationship with another person. We're sharing each other's nervous systems. So when I work individually with clients, if I'm able to come in with a regulated nervous system, then it's much easier for the people I'm working with to feel things that maybe would be scary to feel on their own, to work through things or talk about things that maybe would be hard to if I was dysregulated and all over the place too, because our nervous systems are communicating with each other often outside of our awareness. We can pick up, we talk about bad vibes all the time, but we can pick that up on minute levels. We can notice these cues when someone might be dysregulated, and that might cause us to pull back, to pull away, compared to if someone is relaxed, regulated. We can see it in their body posture, their facial expression. Then we have more of an inclination to move towards that person. And so I think all of these little things are happening all the time. And when we're able to do work in relationships to heal, we're able to practice all of these things, because often wounding happens in relationships. A lot of childhood trauma happens in relationships, historical, collective trauma, all of that is in relationships, and some of it's at like a larger scale of relationships, but it's often between people. And so when we're going to heal, we also need to do our work with other people. And we can isolate ourselves. We can avoid conflict. We can avoid feeling those difficult feelings that come up in relationship. But that's when we feel the most lonely, is when we are just doing everything we can to try to not feel. And at the same time, we keep everyone at an emotional distance, even if they're close to us physically, if we share space with them, but we keep them at a distance. And these relationships we have, it can be our friendships, our romantic relationships, our family members. there are opportunities to be triggered, to let the things that are stuck in our system come to the surface. And when we approach relationships as intentional ways to do our own personal work, then we are coming at them in a way that allows us to not take things so personally, but see things that are arising within our relationships. We can notice patterns, ways of relating that tie often to some type of wound we have, something that we've been carrying with us for a long time or a short amount of time. They can give us information about what we need. It's this kind of balance of being in relationship with others and relationship with ourselves that allows us to do the healing work. Because if we are getting triggered all the time and just blaming the other person, we're repeating our patterns again and again, and just saying, oh, it's this type of person, I should have seen the red flags, I should have done this, then we stay stuck because we're not using our experiences in those relationships to actually notice and be aware of ourselves. So when we notice and are aware of what comes up for us in relationships, then we're able to shift and change how we relate to ourselves and other people, which then actually allows us to have real, deep intimacy. Because often when we've experienced trauma, we want to be connected. There's a part of us that is always wired for connection, and yet there might be fear and these other parts that come up that are afraid if we let ourselves fully be seen, fully be connected, that we'll lose the people around us. And so the relationships that can be the most healing are the ones that allow us to move at our own pace. We don't have to pull our walls down, be completely vulnerable all at one time, but that allow us to be ourselves, to be in connection and relationship without losing ourselves. But that requires work and care and conflict and, having hard conversations. It requires us to make mistakes. It requires us to step out of our comfort zone sometimes. And yet that's what it means to be human. We can think about this on an individual level with our individual relationships. Relationships are what kind of fuels pretty much everything in our world. How things operate is through relationships. Any type of business or service or product is all behind it is people. And we forget this when we're just swiping our credit cards, or not even swiping our credit cards, just using our phone, clicking a button to get something. But relationships are how society changes. Social movements are 90% based on relationships and the communities that are built. And sometimes we forget that that is why we're here. That is what keeps us safe, is our relationships, our connection, our community. And we try to rely on these things that can be gone in an instant. If I make enough money, if I have these things, if I have this, any of that can be taken away. And relationships don't last forever either. But they're not something that is just this man-made thing. Relationships are what, as humans, has allowed us to thrive even through hardship, crisis, tragedy. It's humans coming together that make sure people are okay. We do it in small ways and in big ways. And so if you tend to feel like you need to do it on your own, or that you You shouldn't have needs. You shouldn't need help. Just want to remind you that being in relationship, needing other people, is what makes us human. And we can accomplish so much more healing individually, going deeper within ourselves in relationship than we ever could alone. And collectively, we need each other in order to heal and make change.